Hey Bougie click. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's sure to spark some conversation, embracing your pretty privilege and why you should stop apologizing for being chosen. For too long, women have been made to feel guilty about receiving attention, especially when it comes to male validation. But here's the truth, you don't owe anyone an apology for being noticed, admired, or chosen. I'll break down the myths surrounding beauty, confidence, and validation, and why you should never shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. If you're tired of the guilt trip game and ready to step into your power unapologetically, this one's for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering content.
I'ma make you a fan.
Own your pretty privilege. Stop apologizing for being chosen. Some women will scream male validation doesn't matter. Meanwhile, they'll turn around and call other women ugly, women who are clearly getting the male attention they secretly crave. But if men think you're beautiful, then who exactly are you ugly to? The women men don't desire? Make it make sense. Here's the truth, male validation does matter, and it's most obvious when insecure women try to gaslight attractive women out of their experiences. Female validation isn't a requirement, and their opinion isn't truth. Some women will try to guilt you for having what they don't. And no, it's not always about money, connections, or education, it's about being chosen. The kind of chosen that makes heads turn, that sparks curiosity, that earns you favor without having to beg for it. And too often, the guilt trip is framed as moral high ground. You're shallow for embracing your looks. You're vain for acknowledging male attention. You're doing too much. Being attractive isn't a moral failing. But in today's social arena, you'd think it was. Some women, particularly those who don't align with conventional beauty standards, project shame onto others who are openly desired. Suddenly, if you're the chosen one, you're expected to either downplay your appeal or apologize for it. Why? Because your existence disrupts a narrative that centers female solidarity on shared exclusion. Being desired, complimented, or prioritized can rile people who feel like they're invisible. Suddenly, your lipstick is attention-seeking. Your outfit is doing too much. And that smile he gave you? They'll say it doesn't mean anything. But what's really happening is projection. If attention didn't matter, they wouldn't be so pressed when you get it. The pressure to apologize for being someone's preference is real, but let's be clear, you don't owe anyone shame for their disappointment. The audacity of looking good without apologizing. You walk into a room, and before a man even speaks to you, there's a side-eye from across the way. Not because you've done anything, but because you were noticed. Some women, especially those who haven't had the experience of being organically desired, project their resentment as if it's righteousness. Suddenly, showing confidence becomes attention-seeking. Wearing flattering clothes becomes desperate. Using your looks as currency? Manipulative. Male attention isn't the devil, it's just not guaranteed to everyone. Let's knock the hypocrisy out of the way, men do like different things. One man's muse is another's afterthought, and that's not cruelty, it's chemistry. So, when a man loves your full lips, warm energy, or almond-shaped eyes, and doesn't prefer someone else's sharp angles or dry sarcasm, that's his preference, not a personal attack. But when you acknowledge that preference out loud, when you realize that you have pull in spaces others don't, that's when guilt is handed to you in a tidy little box. Don't reduce yourself to looks, they say. But if the looks weren't a factor, why are they so bothered by yours? They call you a pick-me, but you didn't beg. When a woman is conventionally attractive and gets male attention without asking, she's called a pick-me by women who wish they were picked. Suddenly it's not about self-love or authenticity, it's about accusing her of selling out, of being performative, of centering men. But let's keep it 100, the criticism isn't about some noble quest for feminism or sisterhood. It's about envy wearing a moral costume. This guilt trip usually sounds like, looks don't matter. They do, especially when you don't have them. She only gets attention because of her body. You noticed though, didn't you? I'd never want validation from men. Yet somehow, you always mention who they choose. The projection behind the shade. When a woman moves through the world confidently, gets male attention easily, and doesn't shrink herself to avoid it, others may accuse her of performing for men. But here's the kicker, what they call performance is actually presence. You didn't twist yourself into a pretzel. You didn't chase. You didn't conform to gain validation. You simply existed, and that existence got noticed. That's not pick-me energy. That's picked without effort energy. There's a difference. The accusation becomes a shield for their own rejection. Instead of asking, why does this make me uncomfortable, or what does her confidence stir up in me? They reach for labels that make them feel morally superior. When feminism becomes a cloak, not a cause. A lot of the criticism is wrapped in pseudo-feminist language, you shouldn't care what men think, or you're reinforcing the male gaze, but it's not always about breaking the patriarchy. Sometimes, it's about trying to level the playing field by discouraging anyone who's winning on a different metric. And ironically, it often comes from women who do crave male attention but aren't receiving it. That frustration can morph into moral policing. You only got that job because of your looks. Men only like you because you act submissive. You're setting us back. Translation? How dare you win the game I keep losing? The lie that looks don't matter. This one's served lukewarm in think pieces and group chats everywhere. Only insecure women care about male validation. Girl, please. If men's opinions didn't matter, beauty industries wouldn't rake in billions. Half the silent shade tossed your way wouldn't exist. It's not just about being for the male gaze, it's about being seen, period. And when you're seen more than someone else, they feel it even if they won't say it. The lie that looks don't matter. This one's served lukewarm in think pieces and group chats everywhere. Only insecure women care about male validation. Girl, please. If men's opinions didn't matter, beauty industries wouldn't rake in billions. Half the silent shade tossed your way wouldn't exist. It's not just about being for the male gaze, it's about being seen, period. And when you're seen more than someone else, they feel it even if they won't say it. The guilt trip game. When you're constantly told, you only get attention because you're light-skinned or men only want you for your body, it's not enlightenment, it's deflection. It's an attempt to reduce your worth to a formula, to strip away nuance, effort, or authenticity so someone else can feel morally superior. It's resentment dressed in woke lingo. If male validation meant nothing, they'd stop talking about it. Let's say the quiet part loud, you can't keep condemning male attention if you truly don't care about it. The women who talk down on men the most often do so to justify being overlooked. Because admitting I wanted it and didn't get it feels too vulnerable. So instead, the story becomes I didn't want it anyway. Nice try. Here's another twist in the tale, women saying male attention doesn't matter while monitoring who gets it like their self-worth is hanging in the balance. It's the performance of indifference, loud declarations of I don't care about men followed by calculated critiques of every woman a man does choose. If it truly didn't matter, would it be a weekly TED Talk on Instagram about what real beauty is? Truth is, some of the loudest voices preaching detachment from male approval are actually furious they're being left out of the conversation. That's not empowerment. That's bitterness dressed up as enlightenment. Acting unbothered doesn't mean being unbothered. We've all seen it, the loud declarations of I don't need no man, coupled with performative indifference every time male attention enters the room. Yet, dig a layer deeper, and the story isn't empowerment, it's strategy. When women aren't receiving male validation, many default to the it doesn't matter anyway narrative. Why? Because pretending you don't care is easier than admitting you're not being chosen. This isn't about bashing women who value themselves. This is about the performance of not caring, strategically employed by those who do care, just not openly. Shifting the goalposts to save face. When male attention feels inaccessible, the goalposts magically move. Suddenly, all men are dusty, beneath her, or not evolved enough to appreciate her depths. It's easier to blame men for not noticing you than to confront the emotional sting of being overlooked. This isn't empowerment, it's rebranding rejection. And while it might get applause online, it doesn't replace the very human desire for connection, attention, and yes, validation. Subtle cravings wrapped in anti-male rhetoric. Some women mask their longing through defiance. They'll repost clips tearing down male preferences, mock femininity norms, or scoff at the pick-me label as if being desired is a curse. But the receipts tell a different story: carefully filtered selfies, curated thirst traps disguised as self-love, and endless commentary about what men don't bring to the table. If you truly didn't care, you wouldn't be building an entire personality around not caring. It's not about men. It's about resentment. Let's not pretend this is really about men being bad. This is about women grappling with where they rank in the desirability hierarchy, and the emotional fallout of not being the default pick. When a woman says, "I don't even want men to look at me," sometimes what she means is, "I hate that they look at you first." But instead of doing the inner work or embracing different metrics of value, they weaponize morality: "You're just male validated." I'm free. Translation? I'm trying to reclaim power I don't have access to. Weaponizing rejection as virtue. There's a subset of women who treat being overlooked as a moral high ground. Instead of saying, "He's not into me, let me move on," they shift into attack mode: "He must be shallow, brainwashed, or self-hating." And if he's into you, especially if you're physically different from them, you'll be labeled the pick-me or the enabler of patriarchy. It's not about justice, it's about control. They can't have him, so they don't want you to have him. Preference isn't prejudice. Not every preference is rooted in hate. Men are allowed to be drawn to specific body types, complexions, facial features, or personalities, just like women are. We don't clutch pearls when a woman says, "I want a tall man with broad shoulders and a beard." But if a man says he prefers petite or athletic women, suddenly that's a social crime. It's only offensive when you're not the beneficiary of the desire. Not being someone's type is not a social injustice. It hurts not to be chosen, we've all been there. But turning that pain into a crusade against other women is weak and transparent. Especially when it's wrapped in body positivity or support all women rhetoric that mysteriously evaporates the moment a woman outside the speaker's aesthetic comfort zone gets attention. Genuine empowerment doesn't require sabotaging someone else's shine. Let people like what they like. When a man shows a consistent preference, be it for slim, curvy, dark-skinned, or light-skinned women, here come the labels. He's fatphobic, he's colorist, or the classic internalized misogyny. But let's get honest, attraction isn't always politically correct, and it doesn't have to be. Men and women both have types, and not being someone's type doesn't automatically make that preference a character flaw. It just means you're not what that person desires. What's wild is that the critique often isn't coming from the people a man is attracted to, it's coming from those who feel excluded by his preferences. That's not activism. That's a personal vendetta hiding behind moral vocabulary. If a man likes a curvy, dark-skinned woman, great. If he likes a slim, light-skinned woman, also great. Neither pairing is an insult to the other unless you decide it is. The minute we start guilt-tripping people for not spreading their affection equally like it's a social service, we've lost the plot. Romantic attraction is not democracy, it's chemistry, instinct, and connection. Trying to police it will always backfire. Preferences are personal, not political theater. It's entirely possible for someone to have a preference without hating the opposite of that preference. A black man preferring white women isn't necessarily self-hating. A man who doesn't date plus-size women isn't automatically fatphobic. We can't say we want agency in our own choices while denying others that same freedom. If we want people to choose us, let's be chosen for who we are, not for how well we manipulate shame, guilt, or identity politics. Stop asking chosen women to play small. Attractive women are often pushed into guilt for using what they have, whether it's beauty, charisma, or strategic dating decisions. The moment they lean into it, they're labeled manipulative, shallow, or mean girls. Yet the underlying issue often isn't their behavior, it's their visibility. When a woman owns her appeal unapologetically, she's not just confident. She's a threat to the hierarchy of validation some women are trying to rewrite. You don't need to apologize for being confident, attractive, or desired. You don't owe humility to people who offer you hostility. You don't need to be less pretty, less loud, or less visible to make someone else feel more comfortable in their skin. Does beauty guarantee a fairy tale ending? Of course not. But it undeniably shifts the odds. Better treatment, more access, and yes, being chosen more often. That isn't vanity, that's reality. And if you have the advantage, use it. Because trust me, if the roles were reversed, they would. Guilt is the real goal. The reason they come for you with shade disguised as feminism, sisterhood, or just observations is because they want you to feel bad about being chosen. If they can convince you that male attention is toxic, shallow, or predatory, then you'll stop embracing it. And when you stop embracing it, they don't have to feel lesser in comparison. It's emotional redistribution. They want to steal your confidence, because you're proof, they can't rewrite the standard. Let's be honest, validation feels good. Most women enjoy male attention. It feels good to be noticed. It boosts confidence when someone finds you desirable. That doesn't make a woman weak, desperate, or pick-me-ish. It makes her human. It's not the desire for validation that's the problem, it's the dishonesty around it. The performative nonchalance, the insistence on superiority, and the faux disdain for romantic or sexual acknowledgement, that's what cheapens the narrative. Conclusion: don't shrink to fit in. You are not obligated to soften, apologize, or go undercover just because others are uncomfortable with your spotlight. You were chosen for a reason. And whether that's beauty, energy, presence, or a quiet confidence that disrupts their performance, own it. Don't fold. Their goal is to make you doubt your lane long enough for them to feel superior in theirs. They want you to fumble your femininity. Sabotage your confidence. Tone it down. Because as long as you're radiant and unbothered, their internalized insecurities stay triggered. Being chosen does not make you the villain. You're not betraying the sisterhood by existing in your lane. If a man chooses you, with your look, your vibe, your presence, over someone who doesn't resemble you in the slightest, that doesn't mean you're in competition. It means you're on two different frequencies. She's not for him. You are. And that's not cruelty. That's life. No one tells a brilliant woman to dull her intellect so the next girl doesn't feel small, so why should you downplay your beauty or presence for the same reason? Lean into your power. Use every asset you've got: intellect, intuition, looks, everything. And if a good man wants to pour into you, protect you, and provide for you, don't flinch. That's not manipulation. That's reciprocity. You weren't made to prove a point by struggling unnecessarily. You were made to win. You don't owe the world smallness just because it makes others more comfortable. You don't have to dull your shine to soothe someone else's scars. Use your beauty, intelligence, and presence with purpose, not apology. They'll call it vanity. They'll call it arrogance. But we all know, it's freedom. Thank you for tuning in and diving deep into this conversation with me. Remember, Your value isn't determined by anyone else's perception or opinions. Embrace who you are, unapologetically. Don't let anyone dim your light or make you feel less than because of their insecurities. You're here to shine, to be confident, and to own your power. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that empowers and uplifts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, stay true to yourself and keep shining bright. What do you think? Are you made to feel guilty for being chosen by men? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie. Follow and support me. All links in bio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check description for more info. New episodes every day.